led by the Holy Spirit. Samson never said, I'm led by the Holy Spirit. It was their life, and God used that. That's what God used. It was their life, And so God said, I'm going to use your life. I'm directing your life. I'm allowing the things that's coming in your life, because I'm making a statement, because I'm God. So they made the Bible without even being aware that they were going to be a part of the Bible. They weren't super spiritual folks that says, "Oh, the Lord said to do thus," and they weren't priests. No one selected from the church to do what was being done. Yeah, and so they were different. They were very different. We think about Christian lives today, and Christian lives are so directed to the heart of God. That's what we say. They are directed to the heart. Christian, Christ-like, Christ-like, Christ-like. They're directed to the heart of God. Now, I know a lot of folks are saying they're Christian. They want to fit in a category, but Christians are Christ-like, anointed, set aside, aware that they've set aside to be different. That's what Christians are. Okay, so we fall back. We talked about Samson. We talked about men understanding the Bible, multiple wives, but God never desired it. God made the laws because he wanted the people to keep from being hurt. And when we think about multiple wives and multiple girlfriends, that's almost like selfish. Come on, man. That's my topic. This is where I'm at now. When you have multiple wives, multiple girlfriends, it's like being selfish. You're really not thinking about their heart. Okay? Now, one thing Marvin Sapp said on yesterday is that when you're both living a life and you're dating, okay? So that's what we call mature dating. He understood that we're both just, I guess, seeing each other. Come on, let's get in the mind. Let's get in the mentality. Can we get in the mentality? Let's look at the mind of a man who's just out there and he goes up and he meets a female and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" His heart is pumping for her, and so they have a conversation, and so they depart. Now look at it now. If his heart is really pumping, she goes off, he goes his way. From my understanding, when you both dating a whole lot of people, you don't even consider each other no more. She may be just in your heart. You go off and you're talking to another female. When you're talking to another female, what do you think of? What's in you to allow you to go from woman to woman to woman, from man to man to man, and just discuss? I mean, what's in you? It's almost like a person with a boggled mind. They really don't know what they're looking for. Because then you come back to one, then you go back to the second one, you go back to the third one, you go back to the fourth one, then you come back to the second one, then you go back to the first one. It's like a man that's not he's disoriented. What you call it? He's not oriented. That's not the word. He's disfigured. He's confused. Really, I know confused is too far gone to take us somewhere else, but this is like a man who really don't know. And so he wants to go into a relationship, but is he together? What made you have to go from one man? Well, I'm trying to see what I'm like. What are you looking for? Because there is no perfect package deal. What are you looking for? Okay, what stands out the most to you? What are you trying to find in a woman? Because I just feel when passion comes, true passion to me, when a man is straight or a woman is straight and they know what they want, true passion clicks you. You almost instantly know who's for you, because it's something that it's a chemistry that's there. Oh my God. It's a chemistry that's there. Even before you go out on the first date. It's almost like a lust. Something moves you. Something say, "Oh, I want to try her." And so when you find a person with that in them, and then they can look at someone else and that happens, and they can look at someone else and that triggers, and they can look at someone else, those are hormonals. Oh, come on. That's a person caught up in his hormones. A person caught up in his that's true lust there. That's not, come on, 'cause there's a sight. Oh God, come on, help me with these words this morning, because there's a different type of passion, more mature passion, that when you see someone and you know that person is for you, you want that person. It's a more mature person, a more in order person, a more organized. Oh, that a word, Lord. It's more control. They have control, self-control. A person more in self-control, more in awareness. Whereas that first person is not in self-control. He's not in awareness because he's just moving around. He's led by the movement, emotions of a female. his male organs, and that's the way God made him, the original male. In his immature state, he's led by females passing by. It's like his body can sense when a female, and it turns with the female. So now, let's deal with that first person. That person who's not focused, that person who's led by his organs. Come on, his organs, his male organs or his female organs, and they're just movement men. Now, women, we have to break down, they're different than men. They will receive a date every time it comes their way. That type of person is almost like a hungry person. Yeah, it's almost a person, I want to be with a man so bad. I want to be with a man. And so they're just giving in. And if you're not careful, it could be a person that's already dealing with depression. Oh, because we're going to talk about it. If they're dealing with depression when they get married, man, especially depending on how deep they are within depression, it's not good, because you can get hit, you get cussed out all the time, you get a disoriented person, a person that's just, and that's the word I would look for at first. You know, you don't want that kind of person. That person is almost borderline cuckoo. Okay? And that's when they're dealing with depression. And that type of person, again, if you're not careful, to go out with every man that come your way is a sign something is wrong, number one. Now, a man is different. It's almost similar. And maybe he is dealing with, something masculine about being alone. He cannot be alone for long. He doesn't want to be alone. It messes with his character. So that's another form of depression, because he's not contented. If something bothers your character just because you're lacking, then that person could be dealing with depression. He's dealing with himself. He's dealing with his heart. He's wounded. And so what he tries to do is he reaches out. He reaches out and grab, and he can't get satisfied. Why? Because there's something torn on the inside of him. There's something broken on the inside of him. So he reaches out for different females. Now, what happens when a person is married? They're not satisfied. Bottom line, what makes a person go to different females? They're not satisfied. So this is where the caution part comes in at. You're dealing already with a man who's discontented, a man who's confused, a man who's dealing with issues, and you want to marry him? Okay, because Marvin Sapp spoke about yesterday a person who has been dating, and yet they're ready to commit now. And we're going to fall back because we want to talk about the question. He's ready to commit now, not get engaged. Okay? So what he's saying is, all that time that I'm flirting with you, I'm not really committed. I'm not really trying to get with you. I'm trying to get whatever comes first. So what kind of women you think that they're going to try to tie with? Now, a man like that, and I'm leading you somewhere, or a female like that, their first tie with a person they can't get anything from. Oh, why? Because their motive may be just to get, they're dealing with issues. Their heart is broken and they want to fill that void. And a lot of men, especially in the church, they feel like their character is hurt when they don't have a female. In the church you cannot knowingly have a female without being married. That makes sense? Not knowingly. So eventually, a man who deals with his character, his persona, and feel like they're not a man because they don't have a female will get married. He will get married. But will he be faithful? Because he's not in control. He's still out of control. He has no self-control. He has no awareness. He's not stable. And so his organs are leading him. And so he's dealing with his character. He's dealing with being single, being by himself. Now I'm talking about a man in the church. Now as long as a woman, now be careful now because we're finna tiptoe on some stuff. As long as a woman continue to be hidden from the church, a man of the church will continue to sleep around with different variety of women and never get married, or will take his time to marry. When he has his stuff nailed down so tight that no one can see what's underneath them boards, then he's going to continue to wander back and forth underneath them boards, when he wants to, with who he wants to, and eventually it will come out, eventually it would, and they're church mans. Yeah, they have a different outlook of things. You have to see them, not so much as know their heart. They're not going to live as leaders, but they want you to see them as leaders. So they're going to withhold some information from you, and depends on how long they get away with it. And so we'll find them flirting We'll find them, as we say back in the world. They have